The wise old owl says we all need guidance in our life. So remember, get guided with Guide Us TV.
Yusuf Estes, and I'm looking for something. Actually, I'm looking for someone. Is that someone you? I want Dawah Partners, and you can be my Dawah partner right now. It's real easy. Just go to dawahpartners.com, sign up, and join me. There are 3 things that I would like for you to be able to do. Any one of them or all of them. Beautiful. Number 1, you will make dua. So you can be our Dawah partner, even if you don't go to the website, but I hope you do. Number 2, share. Share this message and let other people know about becoming Dawah partners. And number 3, help us financially. Donate on a monthly basis, even if it's small. Allah loves the thing that you do regularly, even if it's small, more than the thing that you do that's really big, but you only do it once. Join me as a Dawah partner. Do it now. Click, 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 click.
A way of life, a way of life, a way of life, a way of life. Islam is a way of life, a complete way.
And we're coming to you almost live from our studios right here in Southern California. We got a big bunch of stuff to talk about today, not the least of which is 9/11. What is 9/11? Well, that's not, it's not something to bet on in Vegas. However, for those of us who are old enough to remember, September 11th, 20 years ago today, was the day that the 2 towers in New York City and the Pentagon, where I lived at that time, in Washington, D.C., were all hit by airplanes. Or they were hit by something. Anyway, yeah. And that's been a discussion opened up to conspiracy theories for the last 2 decades. And so I think that this is important for us to kind of touch on it a little bit, but not to get too wishy-washy about it either. Okay? So, and that's what we're going to do today. How are we going to do this? I think we're going to bring Sister Kim out first. Sister Kim, salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. I'm afraid to say your email came through blank.
Okay, we got a problem on the sound. Let me see what I can do. Sister Kim, salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. I just wanted to let you know that your email came through blank.
Okay, the email was blank.
And in Malaysian.
Okay, that does not sound like something that I just sent to you. I can try again. Let me see what we get. It has no title on it, and I hope you get it. All right? You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just waiting for it to come through.
All righty. MashaAllah.
How are things going in California?
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We couldn't ask for anything better right here. We've had so many opportunities today, and we met some Muslims from Palestine that live in our neighborhood. Can you believe they're like 1, 2, 3 blocks away? 3 blocks away. And we also met a lady from Lebanon, and it's all over having a flat tire. we had the pickup truck had a flat tire, and we had kind of get the air into a tire to get it to a shop. And while we were doing that, we started meeting these people. MashaAllah. I didn't even know Muslims lived in our neighborhood.
We're becoming more prevalent. Start the conspiracy theories.
Ah, yeah. There you go. That's what we really need now. It's another conspiracy theory, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. Maybe not right. All right. Let's see. Did you receive the email that I sent?
I received it. I'm scanning it right now.
All right. Take a look at it. And what I wanted to hit everybody up with is that there's some stuff that's going on, and it's kind of serious. And I hope that if you mute your mic for a minute, because it won't just keep changing back and forth. All right. There's a federal agency. All right. Let me start with that. There is a federal agency known as the ATF, not ATM. That's not where you go put money in it. The ATF is also known as the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. That is a bureau of the United States government that is supposed to be in control of people making alcohol outside of the limits. In other words, the stills that they used to have back in the 20s and 30s, even up until the 40s, they still had some of the stills out there. And maybe there's one or two left that they make their own stuff, their own whiskey, or maybe in the bathtub or something like that. But they pretty much got that under control. The Internal Revenue Service and this ATF and other agencies are really looking at becoming politicians. And so that is one of the reasons why everybody is kind of shifting back and forth on these things. It's not just about do your job and we'll back away and let you do your job. No. It's about politics now, because the Senate, controls. And the way I want to put this is that there was a director of the ATF, and he was not somebody that was, put in there by a group. He was somebody that was. Within the organization, they elevated the ones that were most likely to do a good job. But then in about 2016, I think it was, the ATF became Senate controlled. And since that time, they have not had a single permanent director. Yeah. On Thursday, that was 2 days ago, the White House had to withdraw its nomination. The White House, Biden, had nominated somebody who was in the ATF for 25 years, all right? And he was really on top of it. He knew what he was doing, okay? And he only left that to get into another position dealing with terrorists, because he had dealt with terrorists previously and in the ATF. So gun trafficking and all of that kind of stuff, big firearms and all that, he was right there on top of it. 25 years, okay? Yet the Senate, who controls it now, and you know who is responsible there, all right? They wanted to put up a big deal against him getting it. They don't have anybody else, but they don't want him to get it. Why? Well, pay attention to tonight's program, and you're going to find out why. also, when we talk about 9/11, it's never actually been established that the stuff that we see in the news is what really happened. There was a publication, and I have it here somewhere in my office, called the 9/11, and that it was supposed to be the do all and say all of all of the people. However, I know the people in New York City. I know people that were right there. I know somebody who was in the building, the last man out. According to the president at that time, George W. Bush, held up this man's arm and said, "This is the last man out." And he had a key, and he was opening the doors to let these people get out because he was one of the janitors there. William Rodriguez is his name. Now, this man is being promoted as being the last man out, and he had this key. But when he had a story that didn't match up with the newspapers, all of a sudden he was forgotten and set aside. Yeah. The Secret Service had interviewed him right after George Bush had said all this stuff, and they asked him, "Tell us the story." And as he told them the story, they just walked out of the room. They didn't say goodbye. They just walked out, and he's left. And nobody from the news people came back. Nobody from the government came back. They just left him standing there. When he contacted us and talked to us about this whole thing, I was very, very surprised. I met him, by the way, in face-to-face when I was riding in a taxi in the UK, in London, on my way to the Islam channel that they have over there. And surprise, surprise, he was telling the story of how he came to know that there was going to be some big problem. How? He heard an explosion at 8:30. Now, in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. Why was that a big deal? Because the planes didn't hit there for over an hour later. But he heard an explosion. He said he thought it was a big generator that they had, had problems with it. But of course, we'll never know now, will we? Because it all went down. But he heard an explosion. And another person that was there that he helped get out also heard this explosion. But they also heard pow, 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 pow. Yeah. Some people theorize, now these are conspiracy theories, okay, because there's no proof. But some people theorized that what was going on was some of these dynamite things that cause a building to fall went off too early. I don't know. I'm just telling you what we heard from him. Now, we did know that he was from Venezuela. And he went to Venezuela and told the story to Chavez. Chavez, at that time, was the president. He was the leader of all the people in Venezuela, and they were doing gangbusters business. Everybody was doing real well. It was the #1 country in all of the Americas for the growth and the production and all the things that they were doing, okay? After Chavez reported, and this is, you can go back and check, but Chavez, the president of Venezuela, after he heard what William Rodriguez, that was his name, William Rodriguez, had said, Chavez is out and giving news interviews saying America did it to themselves. And I don't know where he got that from, but I know it. I'm an American, and I sure would, and everybody I know that's American would definitely take opposition to that. However, things changed for the country completely, like a 180. They became the poorest of all the nations in the Americas, all the way from Alaska, Canada, Mexico, Central America, South America. They became the most deprived, and to the extent that people were homeless, and they were trying to walking out of their country. And these are some of the people that were trying to get into our country here later on. But that's not our topic. What we're talking about right now is how the news people are covering this as though everything is a fact. A lot of folks, if you were less than 15 years old at the time of 9/11, all right? So that means if you're under 35 years old, you don't really know a lot of the stuff that went on at that time. You don't know. And if you're in your 20s, I'm sorry, but you really had no clue. Teenagers today have zero knowledge of anything because all of the opposition. There was a guy in Austin, Texas, really telling it. He used to be a disc jockey, over the air radio station. And he opened up something and he really laid it out. And all of a sudden, you don't hear from him anymore either. And I don't know what happened to William Rodriguez. I don't know what happened to him either. But on 10 years ago, exactly today, William Rodriguez was supposed to be on our show, on Guidus TV. And we were a fledgling station at that time. We were just like 1 year old. And we were excited to have somebody important to come on and talk about what's going on. And this was the day before now, all right? Because 10 years ago, it was on Sunday. Today, it's on Saturday, all right? I don't know how that works, but anyway, I guess you got leap years in there. It makes it kind of adjust around. So on Saturday night, we had tried to contact him to set everything up for the Sunday. And we wanted him to come over on Saturday night and talk about what he was going to say on Sunday, because he was the head of the support group. In other words, the families of the victims that were there, right there in New York City, in Manhattan. He was the spokesperson for them. And as such, for 10 years, he had been in contact with so many people. He's the one that made it clear that the so-called Ground Zero Masjid was not even close to Ground Zero. And he also made clear that this was a community center for Muslims and other people as well. It was a community center. Of course, it had a masjid in it. But he's the one who broke this news out and really told it. Now, we had other imams saying this, but nobody would listen to them. But he had the ear of the people in New York City, and he straightened them out real quick. And he told us over the phone that there was not a single person anywhere in all of his group who opposed anything that for the Muslims there. They said they had no problem with that masjid being built. So who was the problem? And after we released this information on our website, the Islam Newsroom, they came up with one lady. She had a relative that passed away in it. And we do have strong empathy for all of the ones who survived and for those who were lost in this horrible situation. Let's get that clear. Okay, we're not siding with the whoever did this. Definitely, we're just saying we want to be sure that the right people are the ones that are going to pay for this. The right people. Not just anybody. There was one of the people that along the way, he was the head of one of the interrogation systems, and he said somebody has to pay for this. It might as well be these guys, meaning the people in Guantanamo. And you're like, whoa, that's not how justice works. You don't just grab up somebody that you don't like already and say, kill him, or do the torture to him, or waterboard this guy because we got to get revenge on somebody. What the heck? That's the opposite of what our country stands for. Anyway, I want to come back to this. So 10 years ago, all right, our friend that was going to be with us, William Rodriguez, was going to be with us on the show. We tried to reach him. We couldn't reach him. We tried, we called, there was nothing. His phone didn't even answer. It would just like go straight to what they call voicemail. And he didn't show up on the day. He didn't give a speech. He wasn't there, not accounted for at all. He was supposed to give a key speech. He didn't do it. On Monday, somebody called me from a number I didn't recognize. I answered the phone, and it was him. And he was telling me a story that was, I could believe it, from a communist country or some kind of empire that has one big cheese head but not in America. He was telling me that he went to a radio station. He was supposed to give a talk. They were going to interview him, and then he was going to come to us at the TV station. But when he went through the setup, what do you call it, when you have to take your coat off and all of that? So when he went through that, they said, well, where's your ID? He said, oh, I have this. And they said, no, that we need a New York issued ID. He said, well, I'll go back to my car and get it. They said, no, you have already come in, and so now you have to go over here. And these men who were taking him were wearing suits. And it's strange, you know, it's not like a uniform or something like that. They were in suits. And they took him over somewhere, and he just sat there, and finally they took him to jail. Yeah, that's what he said. He said they took him to jail, and they told the chief of police in front of him, don't let this guy out. We'll be back Monday for him, okay? Don't let him out. Okay, we're talking to him on Monday, and he said that what happened, though, was after they left, the chief of police came over to him and said, I know who you are, and I know what you're standing for, and I am not going to see you endure this. And he opened the door and said, go home. All right? So it was about midnight at that time, according to the story that I'm hearing. And then what happens, he said he walked over to his car. He walked over the different blocks to get to his car. If you ever parked in Manhattan around 7 or 8 o'clock at night, you know what, it's crazy. But anyway, he said he got to his car, and he found guys in suits were trying to break into his car. And he looked at them and he said, hey, what are you doing with my car? He said they took off running. And then he called his lawyer. Now, I don't know how, but his lawyer was only a couple blocks away in his car. And he said, where are you? And he said, I'm here, I parked here, so-and-so. And the lawyer told him, he said, stay right where you are. He said, I'll be right there. I happen to be in this area in Manhattan right now, and I'll come over. Midnight? What? Anyway, the lawyer was there, according to the story that William is telling me. Then he said the lawyer advised him to not go on TV with us. Of course, it was too late anyway. And not to go and give a speech tomorrow, but to be silent from now on, because it looks like these guys are really going to give you a problem. And that's when I think that he decided to take a different avenue and kind of shift off. But he did have enough gumption to call us up and tell us what's going on. And in follow-up, I did try to reach him a couple other times after that. It was successful, and just visit with him and see how he's doing. By the way, he became a Muslim. I should have told you that from the start. Yeah, when we were in England and I started talking to him, I realized something he said. He said when he came out of the building, he was bringing people out and going back up and bringing more people out. And as he was bringing somebody out, the people standing back, way, way back from him, are saying, come over here, run over here, don't look back, don't look back. Well, you know what people are going to do? Yeah, he stopped and looked back, and the building was coming down. And he rolled, he tried to run, but pieces started hitting him, and then he rolled underneath a fire truck. Of all the kind of trucks in the world, a fire truck is almost indestructible. And the building fell down all over the place, and layers upon layers were on top of that fire truck. But he was under it. And even though, there was a big boom, boom like that, but he survived that, and he was trying to breathe underneath it. He could breathe, but of course it stunk really bad because of all the fumes and things like that. But he said that while he was there, he was praying. He was saying, oh God, if you get me out of this, I am your servant forever. And I mentioned to him, that's what Islam is teaching us, that you're not a Muslim unless you're a servant of God. And the servant of God equates to the word Muslim. As somebody who is a worshiper or an abdi of Almighty God, Allah, is Abdullah. Maybe you know some people named Abdullah. Abdullah means servant of God. And that's what he was saying. And so when I explained that to him, he said, tell me more. And I started talking about Islam, and he said, I want to be a Muslim. Yep, sure enough. And he learned how to pray, etc. Anyway, so I know that a lot of people will discount everything I said and say, that is a Muslim guy saying it. No, it's all right. As best I can remember, that's how he told me on the phone. And that was 10 years ago. Maybe I left out something. Maybe I said it in a wrong order. But that's what I remember, okay? Now, we got that out of the way. We still don't know who did what. But the newspapers and the television saying it as though this person here and that person there and that was not established. One of the things that they said, they found these passports in the debris of these buildings falling down. That's interesting because no other piece of paper, not a single shred of paper was, all together. There were pieces, thousands of pieces, millions and billions of pieces of paper and things. But to find an entire passport, several different passports, one of the comments was that somebody made on social media at the time was, well, I guess we should get passports from Egypt because they can even survive the terrorist attack. And I didn't think it was funny at the time, but I guess I could laugh now. The thing that we're talking about is somebody manufactured this idea because no passport is going to survive that. That is not going to happen. And they showed a picture of it, by the way. So, yeah, hello. I don't think that the people at the time really knew exactly how it happened or who really did what. Stories about these guys down in Florida taking flight lessons and then taking over these jumbo jets fall apart when you look at what it takes to fly an airplane. Keep in mind, I used to be an airplane dealer, okay? Not much of one, but, you know, I had the Cessna franchise in the northern part of Texas, and we did a little bit of business. But even though I never learned how to fly enough to get the license, I always had to have a licensed pilot with me. And as much as they would talk to me, I would see that it's not worth it for me to take away from my business to learn how to fly, because it would take a lot of energy, a lot of memorizing, a lot of practice, and I would have to go up and down and land, touch and go. They call it touch and go, touch and go. And these guys were supposed to pick all of this up in a few weeks, a few lessons, and that they were getting drunk in a bar and left their Quran around. What kind of Muslim carries his Quran around with him anyway? I don't know, unless he's really super religious and he just keeps. But if he's super religious, why is he in a bar? And why is he drinking alcohol? Yeah, right. So the stories that they told at that time didn't add up. There were a lot of stories that didn't add up. Like, for instance, I was an eyewitness to the flames and fumes of the smoke coming off the Pentagon. I couldn't see the Pentagon because we were, even though we were living in a skyscraper that was in Falls Church, Virginia. And it's not that far, but the lay of the land, you can't see it, but you could see the smoke going up. And when I was standing on top of the building, one of the top brass from the military who had a job in the Pentagon was standing right beside me looking through his binoculars, and he had a phone to his ear, and he wasn't wearing his uniform. The first time I'd ever seen him out of uniform. He didn't go in that day. And I could tell because at 9:30 in the morning, or 10, I think it was about 10 o'clock, and I went up, and I don't remember the time. Anyway, morning. Here he is, and he's looking like, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, okay, well, and then he looks over at me, and with a frown. He knew me, by the way. He was right across the hall from my door. His door was right across from mine in the apartment. Yeah. So imagine that I said to him, sort of joking, I said, it's a good thing you didn't go to work today. And he just looked at me like, oh. And he went back down. I never saw him again. His apartment was for sale the next day. For rent, you know. Somebody else, the manager, who was also a Muslim, the manager of the whole thing, came to me and he said, you're looking for a little bigger? He said, the place across the apartment across from me is available. And I said, the one where the colonel is, or the major, or whatever he is? He said, yeah, for some reason he just moved out. I said, okay. Oh, and I should mention this too, before we take our break. I had, in those days, this is 20 years ago, we were still passing out the cassette tapes, and I was giving them to anybody and everybody I could. Here's a cassette. It's about Islam, it's about the Muslims, this is the Quran. And I was giving them out, just like we do with the Qurans today, with the DVDs, and well, we don't even do that anymore. We give out the website addresses, we publish them as much as we can. Anyway, I had given him, in the elevator, I was in the elevator with him a couple weeks before 9/11, and I gave him one of those. I said, maybe you'd like to listen to this. He said, oh, thank you. At that stage, he seemed like a friendly person. Not the person that I met up there on 9/11. Anyway, that morning, when I came back from Fajr, I looked, and I should tell you this too. I got into the elevator to go down to my floor, or whatever, go up to my floor. Yeah. But it went down. And I stepped off without thinking, and the door closed and it went back up, and I said, I'm in the parking garage. What the heck am I doing here? And I had to push the button for it to come back down. And while I was standing there looking around, waiting, I noticed that the newspaper rack right there, you know, with the glass in the front of it, headlines on that day, Washington Post, it said, Congress lacks $40 million to repair the side of the Pentagon that has been under, you know, they were remodeling it or something, and it was old, and it was that side that got hit. And it was almost impossible to fly a plane down like that to go. And there were no, there was only a round hole about maybe that big, okay, that big, all right, in the hole. And I saw it in the video. But then they said, drop the building, the whole building, and they demolished it on the same day. I don't know how they got the dynamite in there to do it, but they did it. And it went down. And then nobody could argue about it. And they did find a motor to an airplane in the parking lot, but nothing else. They didn't find the wings. They didn't find the fuselage. Anyway. And when I got back to my apartment, there was this cassette tape laying right by the door. So when I opened the door, it fell down, and I picked it up, and I looked at it, and I said, where did that come from? Oh, yeah, that's the one I gave to my neighbor. Now, that was in the morning after Fudger. I had no clue what was going to happen that day. Okay, we'll take a little break on that, and by now I think that we are ready for our second subject, so stay tuned, stay guided with Guide Us TV. We'll be right back right after this.
Guide Us TV, first Islam channel in U.S.
Thanks to all of you for watching, sharing, and spending your time with us on Guide Us TV.
Guide Us TV, first Islam channel in U.S.
Thanks to all of you for watching, sharing, and spending your time with us on Guide Us TV. And remember, tell everyone, stay guided with Guide Us TV. 24 pallets of books and tapes and videos for Islam.
And we're back. Thanks for staying tuned with us here on Guide Us TV. Tonight we're talking about all sorts of different things. We just talked about 9/11, and now I believe that we're going to be talking about the appointment of someone to the I gotta bring this up again.
ATF. American
Director of the ATF, that was it.
Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
Right. And from my understanding, this appointment didn't happen. Why is that?
Okay, now that's a very good question. I think a lot of people are trying to figure out how this came about, but those in the know exactly where it came from and why. The name may be not familiar with a lot of people. His name was David Chipman. David Chipman was highly qualified, 25-year veteran of the ATF. And it was not that the agency mission is unimportant, but that was not the problem. The reality is the ATF is tasked by Congress to track, halt, and generally crack down on all illegal gun, explosives, and dangerous contraband trafficking throughout the U.S. The real problem is the gun lobby, all right? They do not want anyone in charge of ATF, the F, Firearms, who is really going to enforce the gun laws. Yeah, that's the real problem. Biden is blaming the Republicans for blocking Chipman's nomination. But the reality is, many of the Democrats from the gun-friendly states, I like to use that term, gun-friendly, gun-friendly states do not have the gumption to stand up to the gun lobbyists. In other words, here's a Democrat in a gun-friendly state who is not going to hang out and stand up against these gun-friendly folks. They're not going to do it because they know they're going to lose votes. Anyway, so anyone who takes a close look at these gun-friendly opposition to Chipman's so-called inability to run ATF, that's what they were saying. He's not able, he's not qualified, but they don't have anybody else. Okay. They say his lack of experience. 25 years? Okay. Anybody in their right mind, if they study this man's reputation and his credentials, is going to see right through that smoke screen. Chipman left his very distinguished career at ATF after having worked terrorist cases in Oklahoma City. You remember the Oklahoma City bomber? You remember that guy? Well, that guy, the first thing right off the bat, they said it was Muslim terrorists and they were wearing the Arabic garb and they were heading to Mexico. And I don't know how they were known to be heading to Mexico from Oklahoma City. That's over 1,000 miles away, and there is no straight road through Oklahoma that's going to go down there. Even if you go to south on 35, it splits. It splits north of Dallas, and it goes 35 west and 35 east. How the heck, you're going to say that for sure that they're going to take that split? Yeah. And that got the Mexican border shut down all the way from the tip of Texas to the tip of California. Yes, and they've been hammering on it ever since. They've been beating it to death, and it was a fluke. Anyway, so that was one of the things that he was really pushing for, is to get the terrorists who really did it. And it turned out to be a Christian guy. And he said he was doing it for his cause. Yep, all right, well, so much for that. He wasn't labeled as a terrorist after that. He was just like, in the newspaper. No. On the other hand, David Chipman is saying, no, he's a terrorist. Okay, well, that doesn't fit with the thing that we want the news to say, so I'm not going to promote this guy. And he left his position after 25 years to work in other terrorist-related cases. And he worked also in the New York. Remember the New York bombers and the shoe bombers and all the rest of it? And he's the one that clarified exactly what these people were doing. And anyway. So after Gabriel Giffords, how many of you remember? Show of hands? Oh, I can't see your hands. All right. Gabrielle, that's a girl, a female. Okay. Gabrielle Giffords, Democrat, Arizona. They were attempting to assassinate her and shot her right in the head. She didn't die. Okay. But she, obviously, she's lost her position there because she was in the hospital for a long time, and she had issues after that. But she was almost killed. Now, David Chipman is the one who's openly saying about this. I'm gonna try to move this up so I can see it a little bit better. Okay. He openly states that his position on gun control, in spite of the gun-friendly proponents, is to come down hard on what? Yeah, he supports the ban on all assault weapons for non-military folks. If you're non-military, you don't need an assault weapon. That's what he's saying. And 60%, over 60% of the American population supports that ban as well. So they know that if he gets in there, that he's going to do that, and they don't want that. Okay? So this just shows how immoral and powerful the gun lobbyists are, in spite of recent research providing clear evidence the ATF needs to seriously crack down and enforce the laws of our country. And that's what I wanted to emphasize today. Now, I'm going to do a kind of like a switch here, and I'm going to say that no Muslim, no real Muslim can be involved in any suicide bombing because of the statement that Allah says in the Quran, and this is chapter 4, verse 29. And that Allah is talking about not doing stuff with other people's money, but then he ends this with this quote, that do not kill yourselves, in other words, don't do suicide, and others. Chapter 4, verse 29, read it. Don't kill yourselves is the way they translate it. It means don't kill yourself and others. Yeah, he says it right there. And then he goes on to say Allah is the most merciful, the Rahman Rahim. Allah is merciful. Do not do that. Anybody who takes an innocent life, this is also in the Quran in chapter 5, verse 30, 37, 38, something like that. Anyway, Surah Al-Ma'idah, if you go by the names. In Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah is saying that anyone who takes the life of an innocent person, even one person, it is as though they had killed all of mankind. Now, 2,000, almost 3,000 people, innocent people, died on the day 20 years ago. And many people died in the Oklahoma City bombing. And many people have died in Afghanistan on our side. I'm talking about military going in there. They were bombed and killed and suicide bombed. And one of them became a Muslim and was with us when we started Guidus TV. Yeah, his name was Khalid. And all of that to say this: true Muslims never take innocent lives, including their own. So if somebody did this and they claim to be a Muslim, they weren't following Islam, therefore you're not a Muslim. Because the word Islam and the word Muslim come from the same root. From the same root. They come from Aslama, which is from Sin, Lam, Mim, and it is clear that if you do Aslam, you're a Muslim. And if you don't do Aslam, you're not a Muslim. If you don't run, you're not a runner. If you don't talk, you're not a talker. If you don't think, you're not a thinker. If you don't stink, you can still be a stinker, though. Sister, your comments.
I had to take it off mute because it kept switching over. Yeah, I'm really concerned about this lack of appointments to the ATF. I used to own several guns. I was a hunter and also just liked sports shooting. And there are certain things some people ask for that I understand as a hunter why we don't have those limitations. Like there's people that don't want semi-automatic rifles available. And I can say as a hunter that having a semi-automatic rifle is a game changer in hunting, because having to load the cartridge each time between taking a shot, can ultimately really hurt the animal, because you might have a bad shot the first time, but then as you're sitting there loading the next bullet in for the second time, they might be sitting there suffering. And so having a semi-automatic when you're hunting makes it a lot more fair for the animals. So I don't understand why people are against semi-automatic weapons when there is, very logistical arguments for it. As for the ban on assault weapons, that one I completely understand, because there's absolutely no reason to have an assault weapon unless your intent is to mow down a large number of living beings all at one time. And, you're not going to take that hunting and mow down a field of deer. So what would you be shooting at? You'd be shooting at people. That's what they were made for. And so...
The phone is ready. We have a phone call. We have a phone call. It's exciting. Oh, answer the phone. Answer the phone. We have a phone call.
All right. We do have a phone call. I'm trying to answer it right now.
We have a phone call.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Oh,
Salam alaikum.
you have a call.
Yeah, salam alaikum rahmatullah. How are you?
I'm doing well.
All right. Well, what's going on? This is, by the way, this is Habib. His name is Habib, and he's calling from very eastern part of Canada.
Yes, I am calling from Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. Obviously, I was listening to the show, and even though I don't use guns, I still, when I look at guns and people like go hunting and I see nothing wrong with using a 3-03, which basically has a magazine of 10 bullets. So when you're hunting, this comes in handy. So I guess this would be considered to be a semi-automatic. I'm not sure. Maybe Sister Kim knows this.
Sister, can you tell us and give some light on that? What is it?
Sure. A semi-automatic weapon, the size of the magazine doesn't really make any difference. A semi-automatic weapon is a weapon that you don't have to manually move a lever or pump a shotgun or something like that to get the next bullet in the chamber. It is not something that you can fire, bam, 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 bam. It doesn't work that way. It is designed to take a shot, you not have to lower your gun, and so you can keep your gun up at your shoulder, and you can immediately take another shot.
Okay, so the 3-03 would not fall into that category then?
No, that one wouldn't.
No.
Okay. Anybody ever been to a gun show? I've never been to one. So either one of you ever been to a gun show?
Yeah, I've been to gun shows.
All right. How about you, Habib? Have you ever been to one?
No. It's not one of those things that I'm really interested in, even though my mother, when I was younger, tried to get me to shoot like the 3-03 and a shotgun, but unfortunately with the shotgun, because of where the release is on the top, I managed to, when I was firing it, I hit it in the shell casing, actually hit me square in the forehead. So after that, I was never crazy about guns.
All right. Well, we're showing some of the guns on the air that I've found here in this collection here online. And I don't know the difference between an assault weapon and a semi-automatic or this one has a clip hanging out of it. It looks like a pistol with some kind of a long-range rifle sticking on top of it and a big clip, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Sister, can you tell what is it?
I'm waiting for it to come up. That is an assault rifle.
That's an assault rifle? I hate to be so dumb. I really do. I like to know what I'm talking about.
Oh, wait, no, it's not. I can see the lever. I can see the lever. That is a lever action rifle where it's got the clip. And so that magazine probably holds about 30 rounds. But you can see a lever that you have to push forward to eject your spent round from the chamber.
Okay, well, I'm showing something else now. I've been through a couple of them here. This one is kind of red on the, I don't know if that's from heat or what, maybe it's just a sign on there. I don't know.
That's just printing on there.
Oh, printing. All right. What kind of gun is that?
That I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we got a bunch of...
What I can't understand, and I'm trying to figure out the logic of it, and I know that in Canada they banned assault rifles. But for the life of me, I can understand, and it's important for hunters when they go hunting to have a certain type of gun. But when you're looking at an assault rifle and you're hunting a moose, or even if you're hunting a moose, it's like, okay, after shooting the moose so many times, it just destroys any meat that's there using an assault rifle. So it's a slight case of overkill.
Okay.
So there's no logic there's no logic even in hunting.
Okay,
that has
now
a weapon.
Yeah, okay, you're talking about Canada now, and I'm showing, I got a picture here I want to show everybody. This is in New Zealand. They have a ban on most semi-automatic weapons. And they have somebody here showing this weapon, and I don't know what it even is, but I guess it must be one of the assault weapons that they're talking about here. Let me see if I can make it a little bit more clear. Yeah. These weapons that the people are demonstrating here or showing off to everybody, I think that these are the assault weapons that they want to do away with. But anyway, there is a ban in New Zealand, and you're saying that there is a ban in Canada, but I don't know what is the ruling here in America for having these kind of weapons. Sister, do you know anything about that?
Yes, there used to be a ban on assault weapons. There was a ban on assault weapons that was put in the 2000s. I don't remember exactly when it was, but that ban was allowed to expire.
Oh.
And so when the ban expired, suddenly gun shops and gun shows could carry assault weapons again, and they have not been able to put the ban through since.
I didn't know that. All right. Well, guess what? We've run out of time for this show. And this is a special show that we put on just because so many people are blaming Islam for what happened on 9/11. And even today, there are people who are doing very harsh things to Muslim people here in America and around the planet. New Zealand is one of the places where somebody went in from Australia, and he went in there with an assault rifle or some kind of weapon, and he just opened fire and killed over 50 people. He killed, and he went to 2 mosques and killed people while they were praying. And obviously they didn't have any clue that they were going to be murdered like that. And so there is an act of real terrorism. And I think people need to know what the truth is. And let's pray for everybody. I pray that everybody gets guided, regardless of who they are, where they are, what's going on. Allah guide everybody, forgive us and put us in the right way. Amen. So, all right. So everybody stay tuned and stay guided with
Guide Us TV.
Guide Us TV.
Yeah.
Guide Us TV, first Islam channel in U.S.
Thanks to all of you for watching, sharing, and spending your time with us on Guide Us TV. And this is Yusuf Estes, and I'm looking for something. Actually, I'm looking for someone. Is that someone you? I want Dawah Partners, and you can be my Dawah partner right now. It's real easy. Just go to dawahpartners.com, sign up, and join me. There are 3 things that I would like for you to be able to do. Any one of them or all of them. Beautiful. Number 1, you will make dua. So you can be our Dawah partner, even if you don't go to the website, but I hope you do. Number 2, share. Share this message and let other people know about becoming Dawah partners. And number 3, help us financially. Donate on a monthly basis, even if it's small. Allah loves the thing that you do regularly, even if it's small, more than the thing that you do that's really big, but you only do it once. Join me as a Dawah partner. Do it now. Click, 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 click.